Good morning, everyone. We will call this meeting to order at 9:01 of our Ag Service Board meeting. In the true spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge all those who call this land home now and for thousands of years in the past. May we respect each other and find understanding together and recognize the benefits that this land provides to all of us. Before you should have a copy of the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or edits? Would anybody like to move the agenda? Mark moves the agenda as presented. Those in favor? Okay, then we have the minutes from the Ag Service Board, November 25 of 2025. You've had a chance to go through the meeting minutes. Any changes or errors? Anyone wish to move the minutes as presented? Okay. Logan moves the meeting minutes from Ag Service Board, November 25th, 2025. Those in favor? Then that is carried. Then we'll move on to item D, business arising out of the minutes, strategic planning. So we had talked about it at that time that there's an appetite to do a strategic plan, and I worked on getting some prep done, and then the decision was made that it happens after council strategic plan, which was last week. And so now that that is done, if there's still an appetite for it, we are prepared to work towards that, like input from the table on what you're thinking. Yeah, I hit the mic.
So my question is like, what's our goal or purpose of having it? Because if you kind of look at how things are laid out for ASB by the provincial legislation, I'm struggling. Like, that's pretty clear and cut what the intentions of the legislation are. I'm not sure if we're gonna do any more than what we're currently doing, right? Unless I'm misinterpreting something. But.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Well, I made the motion, and yeah, there's the legislative approach to an ASB, and then there's an approach that adds value to the council. And I feel that the structure that's been in place has a lot of history, but I also don't feel we need an Ag Service Board to manage a $150,000 grant. And I feel that given the perspective of our county being the largest gross generator of revenue from agriculture, that we should probably be trying to do a little above and beyond just basic legislation. So my intent was that we figure out ways to add value to the council by bringing in other feedback from the industry to support this burgeoning agricultural economy. That could be anything from improved advocacy for support from the province on infrastructure, agricultural programs, you name it. I've felt as a member at large that there's a heck of a lot more we could be doing than simply checking some boxes.
Thanks, Ken. You have any, Mark?
Did you say we need our mics or no?
I think we're miking it.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I agree that with Dan around the, we've got our roles pretty clear, what we do, and it's all Ag Service Boards across the province are pretty consistent that way. I'm not sure how many of them do strategic plans. When the council is done, county council has already done a strategic plan, a lot of that's folded into with the role of the ASB. So that would deal with advocacy and all the different things you just spoke about. So that's a council responsibility. So I think we need to understand where we sit, what our roles are. Not to say we can't get better, but just I would feel more comfortable just working with other ASBs and finding out similar ones to us, sort of finding out what they do. And do other ASBs actually do the strat planning? But I think the process the council just went through was pretty detailed and pretty all-encompassing. So I think that I don't really, at this point, I wouldn't see value in doing a strat plan, because the council's doing a lot of things you just spoke about, Kent.
Did it discuss
Thanks, Mark.
the relationship and purpose of the Ag Service Board to council, or has that been part of the strat planning?
Though? No. Can I make a recommendation, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
So, I think, and I don't want to speak for anybody else here, but I mean, I will say my opinion and what I think I'm hearing, but I struggle with the Ag Service Board and what it is, if we're ticking legislative boxes, you know, and so if this is meant to be an advisory board where there is something more tangible that can be done and it can drive value, I think that that's what makes it worthy of the members at large time, and not a council tick the box obligation, frankly, to meet that mandate. I struggle to know what that role is, because there is a lot of duplication. So I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, it's going to be this thing or not. What may be worthwhile is, and I'm not that I'm looking for more work for administration, but that we coordinate a half-day workshop or a day workshop just for this. Call it whatever you would like to call it, strategic planning, priority, like trying to figure out your identity of what the roles and functions are. Because I think there's going to be, regardless, if it is to tick the legislative boxes, you're going to be a lot more effective at it if all of you are on the same page that that is the primary function of the ASB. If it is advocacy, if it is facilitation between groups, if it is whatever, and council can offload some of that to this board, I think it'll be a lot easier to work backwards to see what resonates, and then we figure out what that is and we actually put something together. I don't know what that's called, but I do think we have a bit of an identity crisis here, because I think we have this legislative obligation, but everybody wants it to be more, wants to do more, wants to drive value. And so again, that's what I think I'm hearing. I think we feel the same on the administration side. I don't want to speak for Ryan and Gary, but we want it to be meaningful of your time. And so how do we make it that? And I'm not going to sit here and say I have those answers, but I think it's worthy of a conversation.
Thank you, Cole. So kind of coming out of that then, there's still some amount of us trying to figure out what we're doing or why we're doing it. Would anybody like to turn that into a motion? Okay, well then I'll attempt it. I'd like to direct administration to facilitate a half-day workshop for the Ag Service Board. No, I think this is ASB, and then administration can take care of any council part of it, and the intent would be that, hey, we can do a more wholesome job of fleshing out of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and if we're doing it, is there a purpose to it? Yeah. So, okay, the motion was that administration facilitate a half-day workshop for the Ag Service Board. Those in favor? Then that is carried. Thank you. D2, rural dust, that one has been further worked on. Would Ryan like to speak on that one a little, please?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So in terms of, where this is with ASB versus just general operations within the county, for the 2026 season, council had approved some changes to the program overall for the dust suppression program, where we're now offering a second application window that's later in the year. It'll start in August. And so we do see that there'll be some benefits there for producers and residents within the county to have access to that, which hasn't been in the past. We are actually starting, so our first application, we're looking to start actually this week for the spring application, and we've really tightened up the application windows. We've changed a few things with our process where there'll be more value added for end users. So if it took, a month to put it down, we're looking to cut that almost in half. So you get a little bit extra time of having the dust suppression applied if you're paying for it. So, any questions on that? Again, we're always monitoring and working with some of our bigger producers, manure haulers for sure, in terms of impact on the roads and how to manage dust. So, any questions?
Thanks, Ryan. Then we will be skipping over our delegations yet. Those are at 10 o'clock and 10:30. So we'll go to new business. F1, Ag Service Board level of service. Gary.
All right, this is checking one of those boxes. Every year we have to report back to council. So the level of service goes through the Ag Service Board and then on to council. In the fall, we give you a description of what we did for the year, and this is what we're going to do for the upcoming year. There is not a lot of change. We had our field visit last year, and Alan Fetha from the provincial government had some suggestions, so we've made those changes. One of the changes was we've gone back and forth on things. They need to see policies on soil erosion, policies on weeds. We were missing the word policy. We just added it back in, and we think we're good to go. So if you've browsed over it, we've added policies in a few spots there. There's also some new language that came out of that field visit for appeal committees. So they wanted to see the appeal committees in here. So there's language for the delivery of the Weed Control Act and the appeal committee there, and also the Pest Control Act, the appeal committee. And also where we were really lacking was we didn't stipulate that the Soil Conservation Act, the appeal committee is you, the Ag Service Board, so that language is in there now as well. And the province also likes to see an up-to-date emergency management plan that addresses disease in livestock. We have one. It doesn't get into details because if a disease does happen, it's going to be the federal government or the provincial government that takes over, but we're there to assist, and we do have a plan. And through our emergency management team, that plan is always evolving, and not every municipality has one, so we're ahead of the game because we have some staff that put together one for us. Moving on, we resource management. This is a rural extension program we run. All we did was specify in the grant what we do, so we've added it here because these are things we're going to be doing every year for the next four more years, because it's in the grant. So it's in the grant. We didn't have to be vague. We had to be a little more clear. So the changes there is the SCAP program for funding. There's other opportunities that come up. Matthew Wells, our extension specialist, he helps with those. And then one change here in our grant, we had 3 newsletters that went out. We now have 2 editions of a magazine that go out, and that's been very well received, and we'll let Matt talk on that a little bit later. Another popular item that we do is we host the nutrient management webinar series in January, February. That's an online deal, and it's a great for producers and agronomists to take in that. And then deliver workshops that address producer challenges with practical, up-to-date information. And practical is the key there. I mean, it has to make sense to the folks that live here. As well, we have the annual tree workshop that we hosted, and that was just last month. So we've added that in. Skipping down, there's where you see the policies, the appendixes at the end. We'll key in on some of our larger jobs that we do here at the end. Of course, those are roadside spraying and roadside mowing. This is our roadside mowing map. In the past few years, we've done everything at least twice, except for maybe 5%. The yellow area on this map is where we used to intend not to do everything twice. Dryland areas, of course, there's been irrigation added all across the north. So not necessarily always grass we're mowing. In the last cut of the year, it's Lots of times it's co-share weeds. Lots of them are sprayed dead, but they create a snow trap. So each year we kind of go to a different area to start, which helps in weed control. Our mowing program is essential to weed control for us, especially with, the chemicals and the herbicides are not working as good as they used to. This area here, this is our spray map. We're in area 2 this year, which is 1/3 of the county approximately. This is our most difficult area to spray by far. We have all the acreages between Lethbridge, Coaldale, surrounding Lethbridge. And then when you get from the 845 to Chin, that's heavy potato area, and we do not spray along potato fields. We set up a program where we do some weed control mow too. So we go out there and we mow usually 3 times in that area. And we will be very picky on where we spray. We've talked to some potato growers in that area. They don't want us anywhere near their crops, and for good reason. So some of the other duties that we take care of include equipment rental. We have brillions and a plastic roller. The brillions are out every day right now. We have a guy that's essentially moving them around. And a plastic roller, how's that been, Derek?
It slowed down now, but it was very busy throughout the fall and winter. It probably went out close to 30 sometimes. So it's getting a lot of use, so that's good to see.
There's plastic is a resource now that has some value to it. When it wasn't worth anything, there was nobody using it. I was at the landfill in Iron Springs, and lots of times they'll go pick them up if you got 10 bags, but there's a bunch there as well. So it's good to see people recycling instead of burying or burning. Other duties we take care of are playgrounds, pest inspections that you've seen in the level of service, soil conservation, we'll talk about that in a minute. Animal Health Act, we've never helped much there. We've never had anything too bad to deal with, but there's a letter attached here that addresses Bill 22. It's the Animal Protection Act, and that's basically abuse of animals is what that relates to on that act, and we've never really been involved with that, and not really in our realm. And we'll talk about now, if we can go into a discussion on soil erosion that's happened this past winter. Derek, he leads the team on that, finding spots, both him and me. When it starts blowing, we go out and, document everything. We have a map that indicates fields that have blown in the past. And, I go out in the fall and I drive the whole county and I can see where there's going to be issues as well. So when it blows, we want to go to those hot spots. And if we can trigger someone to take action, if possible, while it's happening, or educate. We've had that soil erosion video that was produced is a great resource. We're telling folks to, go watch it. This has been a different year altogether. I mean, there's land that was blowing that was right through standing stubble. I mean, what can you do about that? If you're going to work it, you're going to make it worse. So we're practical as well, and we've dealt with numerous producers on, okay, it filled in the ditch, and now can you go take care of this? And we've had everybody except one producer that was just great on cleaning it up and done a great job as well. Maybe Derek can talk a little more.
Yeah, so, there's days can't cover the whole county, you can't find anything. So there's stuff that we're finding 3 weeks later that blew that we didn't realize. But for me, myself, we found 32 fields that had blown. 14 of them were all contacted. 90% of them, somebody went out there and did it all. But anybody that we contacted, they were happy to, whether they put manure on it or they tried working it when they could. And like I said, there was a handful of producers that where the ditch blew in, they were contacted. 95% of them were all more than happy to get it cleaned up. So that was nice to deal with. And yeah, we're still finding spots where it blew a little bit, so we just try and keep everything marked down and keep going around, like Gary said, checking the hot spots and stuff like that, so.
And what we're keying in on is where there's an impact to drainage. That's the biggest thing. So we're not calling everybody. We have to be a judge on what's a problem and what isn't. I think when things blow and it silts in, once it rains, if it ever does, or snows, that soil that blew into the ditch reduces down to about a third, I would
Yeah.
say. So it's a small problem that looks bad is sometimes not a big issue. But once we make contact with a few of these producers, word gets around that take care of your stuff, right? So we're having, and our farmers have been great to react to soil erosion over the last 4 years. They're planting cover crops. They're doing a tremendous job. If they didn't get to that state, it would have been much worse this winter. And guys know what to do now. And when we have these conversations, there's no farmer. That's a $4 million quarter. Nobody wants to see that on their quarter. They're losing all the nutrients. So it's been a great reaction from the producers, and we appreciate that. Does anybody have any comments on some of the work they've seen out there or any feedback?
Well, thanks, Gary, for your report and the level of service presentation. So, if there's no further question, would anyone like to move the recommendation? Tony moves the recommendation that the Agriculture Service Board forwards the 2026 ASB level of service to County Council for approval. Those in favor? Then that is carried. Thank you for that. Then we will move on to F2. Matthew Wells, Rural Extension Specialist update. Good morning, Matthew.
Hello, everyone. Morning, Chair. Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'll get into the activities that we've done since last November, and we'll talk about two things that are coming up here as well. So first, I'll get into the environmental farm plan. So since last November, I've reviewed over 28 EFPs and reviewed and approved, and of those 23 producers, I met in person. It's quite a bit of work, and we're still one of the top municipalities for EFPs completed. The reason being is AgriInvest remains to be the top reason behind why EFPs need to be completed. It's due to the requirement of producers having to have a agri-environmental risk assessment done for their farm operation. So going forward, I assume, or I foresee that we'll still have quite a few that need to be completed, but they'll all be good. The funding application, so a lot of the funding that we promote is through the Sustainable Canadian Agriculture Partnership Program. Many producers are looking for funding through the On-Farm Efficiency Program, which is currently closed, but it does say on the website it should open sometime here in 2026. Last year it was in April. Unfortunately, we are already into May, so we'll see when it does open. But when it does open, I've been in contact with a lot of producers who are looking for that funding opportunity. So when it does open, I'll be sure to reach out to those folks. Currently, right now, the only program that is open is the water program. Besides the SCAP program, we also highlight the On-Farm Climate Action Fund. So that includes the nutrient management or cover cropping and rotational grazing. That just opened here April 10th. I had a few questions about it, but not as much as the SCAP program. So, but any of those questions that do come up, I show them to the website. Most of the time it's through RDAR there. So getting into the reporting portion. So we do reporting through the Alberta Agroforestry Crop and Agroclimate Impact Reporting that just started here this month. And that'll continue till November. So it's just, once a month, fairly easy to do, just takes a little bit of time. So, and with all that reporting too, a lot of the information I collect is from producers. So producers and what I see. So any questions on those three? Nope. So getting into the workshops and webinars, so like Gary mentioned, we hosted the Nutrient Management Webinar Series. That was done January 26th, February 2nd, and February 9th. We had 408 attendees, or not attendees, but registered, and then each day we had over 200 attendees. Of those, roughly 13 to 20% were from Lethbridge County municipality, so which is awesome in my books. So those recorded. So each webinar episode was recorded and posted on the Lethbridge County YouTube page. So of those, anyone that was able to or unable to attend or watch, they are able to watch the recordings there, and we've gained some viewership that way too. So, and I know Lethbridge Polytech as well as the University of Lethbridge, they have their students watch those videos as well. So, in March 25th, we hosted the Growing Opportunities Workshop on risk mitigation and management, and that one we had 18 registered and 13 that were able to attend. It was a little bit of a drop from the previous year. But I believe it's because the timing of it. But we had those that did attend, so like Mark, Tony, Eric, you guys all attended there, and you might be able to speak to it. But there's quite a bit of good engagement from folks that were there, especially on the emergency response planning and the egg safety aspect. And one of the questions I posted to folks that did attend is if we were to host a day workshop on one of the topics, which one would it be? And the survey came back, and it was the emergency response planning and the safety in egg. So, but yeah, no, I was quite pleased with it. Did you guys have any comments on that day? Yeah. Awesome. So April 15th, we hosted the Shelter Belt and Resilient Landscape Workshop. It highlighted disease and pests, planning your shelter belt. We had the Agroforestry and Woodlaw Extension Society of Alberta, AWES, from up in Edmonton there. They came down and highlighted their program. They do funding through the 5 Billion Trees program there. And then we also talked about proper pruning and long-term maintenance. So we had 40 registered and 35 in attendance. And this year, I think it was the best attendance. Everybody actually was able to stick around. Previous years, it depends, depending on weather. If it's too cold and we go tour outside, it's a little bit tough. But this year it was nice, really nice day. We hosted at Diamond City Hall there. And then we were able to tour all the trees that we have in the playgrounds there. So, and anyone that did attend, they did get free bare root trees. Always brought them down. So that was really good. So everyone got some. So I wanted to highlight, so June 10th coming up here, we have a Innovations in the Field. So this was a partnership between Lethbridge County and the Foothills Forage and Grazing Association. So the idea behind it is we're going to have 4 presentations. It'll be out at the Nolan Hill Grader Camp, just off the 845. And we'll have presentations there, but we'll also use that pasture piece in the back. So we'll have 4 presentations, 2 breakout sessions, and then several booths in attendance. So the 4 presentations are nutrient sampling, solar energy, pest control, and water quality for cattle health. And with that, we got the 2 breakout sessions on pasture health management and assessment, and then invasive weed management. So the idea behind it is we're going to have a lot more show and tell, especially with the soil nutrient sampling. So we'll have some soil sampling demonstrations and also plant tissue sampling. So yeah, I look forward to that one. We have currently we have 15 registered already, so we'll look to get that or continue to go upwards. So with regards to attendance and representation, so this year we attended the Farming Smart Conference on February 11th with a booth. As always, Farming Smart did an excellent job with that, so I always appreciate being asked to come out there. So we also attended the Egg Expo booth, or Egg Expo, we had a booth from February 25th to 27th, and was able to engage with quite a few producers and other individuals as well. So it's always excellent to be able to interact with folks in person there. So presentations, so the Huntsville High School, K-12 school, they asked me to put together presentations for them this year. So I put together presentations for them for a half day on March 5th. For the entire school. So we had I had 845 spuds, birds of prey, Picture Butte Fire Department and Heartland Training Support Hub come out. It was a fantastic day. The teachers loved it. The students loved it. And they've asked me to do it on an annual basis. So it is a little bit of work, but I'm okay with it. We've been trying to get into the schools, so I mean, this is a great way to do it. So on the month of April, so Lethbridge Polytech, they've reached out to me 3 times there. 2 of them was for presentations that their students were hosting. Unfortunately, I was unable to make those just due to other prior commitments. And then they also asked me to do a presentation on the floating islands in Broxburn. And again, I was unable to do it just because of time commitments and the EFP and stuff. So, but they will be reaching out again to me, or reaching out to me again in the future. So, and then upcoming, we have presentations organized for RI Baker School. So this is the 4th time we've been invited. And so I got 4 presentations. Well, I'll have 4 presentations lined up for that day, and it's just for the grade 6 class. That's usually a good time. So, and the last thing I'll get into is our communication outreach. So our communication is done typically through the magazine, videos, email, social media, website, in-person events, and brochure pamphlets, but also we are putting together a podcast as well, and I'll talk about that here in a short little bit. But first I'll talk about the Rural Living magazine. So like Gary highlighted, we switched from the newsletter to the magazine. We only do 2 editions now, the November issue and the March issue. Just started it last fall, having completed 2 issues. Great feedback. I've actually gotten more engagement with both of these than the newsletters in the past, which is amazing. This one, so when I send it out, we do it through the Canada Post. It's a targeting system they have, a precision targeting system. So not everybody's getting it right now just because of how that system's set up. But anyone that is unable or hasn't received it yet, they've been informed that if you would like to, you can subscribe. Just send me your mailing address and we'll put you on the list. And I've got a huge list already starting, so which is really good. So yeah, no, it's fantastic, and we'll look to continue doing that. The videos we've been doing, we have done videos in the past. This year we just have the nutrient management webinar series currently right now. I have mentioned in the past that we have a club root video and a stewardship video coming out. Due to the increased need with regards to the EFPs with producers, I've had to push those videos off. Just straight up, like the priority is for producers. So, and there's the time constraint on those EFPs. But those videos will come out at some point. They just do take a lot of work. So, but they will come out. I promise that. With the podcast, so we do have a podcast coming out. It's going to be called the County Drive. It'll come out, there should be an episode coming out here fairly shortly. The reason we're doing the podcast, we're trying to hit information for folks in a multifaceted approach, so not just reading literature, not just in-person videos, but also audio as well. So the first one will be on how to plan your shelter belt with Grant, our arborist. And putting it together was really well done. It was just done in-house, so I simply just record it, and then I put the audio and snippets together as well. No, it was really well done, and I'm excited to see the feedback that we get from it. Like I said, it's just another way for folks to obtain information. So in the future, we'll have talks on soil erosion, soil nutrient management, emergency response plan, those kind of talks. So, and then the last piece is just continued push on social media and providing information to folks on various topics that come up on a regular basis. So, yeah. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Matthew, for all your work, your reports, and the content that you generate and put out. So it's definitely a large part of our, what we do, or what we get viewed as, so.
Thank you.
Then we will move down on our new business, item 4, the strychnine discussion.
All right, as you knew, strychnine is coming back, and it's been thrown on us fairly rapidly, and things are coming out every day on what we have to do and how it's going to be done. I'm going to go through the question and answers here, and we'll go over ones that are important. So the product's going to be available, we believe, at the end of this month. We're hoping. It comes from the Middle East, and there's challenges there. Supply is going to be very limited at the beginning. We're anticipating we're going to get 18 cases of 24 bottles. Each bottle's 250 mil, treats about an acre if you have a severe infestation. Parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan are included in the map that they're allowing. And how do I bring that back? Candace? Sorry. Yeah, so there are parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan that are included in the map. Alberta is most of southern Alberta, south of Edmonton. Yep, that's perfect. Saskatchewan there's a hole down the middle where they identified through crop insurance where in Saskatchewan was going to be applied. There's some counties that wanted it, they're not going to get it. In Alberta, there's a few as well. And they're supposed to report and take a look at what their gopher infestations this year so they can be added to the map for next year. We are going to be able to sell it. We have all the paperwork, and myself and Derek have taken the course where we've got all the storage and everything. We're up to speed on that. We have our vendor registration. And here's a question that should the use of 2% strychnine be an Agriculture Service Board Council decision to distribute in the municipality? We think it should be. And I believe we should just pause for a moment on this one and make a motion that we do sell the strychnine, if someone's prepared to do that.
Hold on one second. Thank you there, Gary. Could you just elaborate a little bit on the, or the answer there even of why we are the ones distributing it, so we have a little bit more context for making the motion?
Yeah, it's always been an Ag Service Board role since I've worked here. We've distributed it in a number of ways. At one time, we had to mix it. At other times, we bought it mixed in pails and sold it. The only way they can run it is through Ag Service Boards, and it always has been. We've made several motions through the ASB at Provincial Conference to bring back strychnine. Lethbridge County has written a few letters wanting it back the times where they took it away. So it is something we support. It creates an incredible amount of work for staff, and figuring out the logistics of this is going to be tough. But hey, this is a positive for producers. Everybody was wanting it. So we've had lots of calls so far. There is a real demand, and let's put it this way, 18 cases is not going to go far in the first run. We're expecting 3 deliveries this year. Even the first delivery it's too late. Yeah, but I look back on my notes from our busiest year, and we sold 1,300 bottles in the time frame that's left. So if we get it in the 3rd week of May till the middle of June, we sold that many bottles. So it's an incredible amount. Some other questions which are going to come up are, you have to live in the county where you're going to purchase your strychnine, and you can also take it to the other counties that you own land in. So that we have some very large producers that farm in the MD of Tabor, so we have to figure out a way that the biggest impact for gopher control is in Lethbridge County, but that's difficult because they still we're their only option, right? In the past, half of our allocation of strychnine left the county. It went to the Blood Reserve or other counties with some land here. Where we want to, this can be very difficult to figure out who gets it. One thing to note, the Blood Reserve will not be allowing strychnine on their land. A lot of strychnine went out there, and they've hired staff to monitor. They figure, you know, there's a problem out there with gophers too, I would suspect, and producers are gonna wanna try to control them. There's very large fines for non-compliance, but to answer your question, it's the need, and as an ASB, we're there to support producers, and this has always been our role.
Perfect, thanks, Gary. So then we have a motion that Mark's prepared for us.
I'd like to move that the Ag Service Board recommend to County Council that the ASB department become a vendor for the sale and distribution of strychnine to eligible producers in the Lethbridge County.
Thank you, Mark. Any commentary, questions? Make sense? Okay, Mark has moved that the Agriculture Service Board recommend to County Council that the ASB departments become a vendor for the sale and distribution of strychnine to eligible producers in Lethbridge County. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Now that we're gonna be a vendor, there's gonna be some components for producers, and it's gonna be way more difficult for them. There's an online course that was set up yesterday. We'll be promoting that very soon. They just, every day something new's coming with this, so you have to take a 1-hour course, and then there's a delay on the time that I'm gonna get their certificate or see it. So it's not gonna be as easy, and the fines, I don't remember anybody ever getting a fine, but these fines that they're could impose are very large. I wouldn't want to be the person that messed it up for Saskatchewan and Alberta. So the training myself and Derek have taken, we're taking this very seriously. We want this available to producers, and we have to do our part on the documentation, which is intense. When we used to sell this, somebody has to be available at the shop all the time. We're trying to figure ways to do this. I mean, 18 cases ain't much. We could get rid of that in a day. We're going to try to create a list and demand. How do you judge demand? Impossible. We can't go out and check everything. So how I suggest that we do it is we sell just a maximum of half a case to producers at a time. That way, and then we'll circle back. If you're a bigger producer and you got more acres, then you can come back if there's any left. I'll give you some stats on what we've sold in the past. So in 2012, 29 cases, 1335, 1440, 1593. They're threatening strychnine's going to go away. 140 cases in 2016 and 176 cases in 2017. It went up large. And like I say, over half of that strychnine left our county. We had 55 producers who bought under 12 bottles, 25 producers that bought 12 to 48 bottles, and 12 producers that purchased 48 or more. And of those 12 producers, lots of that was going out of the county. So, and some of it still will. I mean, if you're farming in the MD of Taber, we have to support that. So what I'm suggesting, we do that 12 bottle and go from there. We've gone, we sell them by the individual bottle. There's lots of people that buy 8, 10, 12. There's going to be some small ones, and you'll hear it if they don't get theirs. And we were bought out in the first day by somebody that had 100 quarters. So is anybody in favor of that approach?
Gary, just Mr. Chair, if I can add a little bit more context on this. Gary's being a little bit light in terms of administrative burden that we're actually taking on and risk to verify everything from the certification, the training, the land, how it's going to be used, and even the follow-up and the tracking elements. It's actually a lot. And that will grow as we receive more product, but Gary's mentioned here in terms of how do we allocate the product. I definitely have some concerns with how do we fairly allocate product when historically this amount could go to one producer. So any more discussion or guidance on that from the council would certainly be appreciated on allocation, because I think this is going to get hairy very, very quickly. And really we don't have a good solution because we're just not going to have enough product for this first round.
Everyone's going to struggle with this, all municipalities. Saskatchewan has taken the approach. They're not selling it this year. They're selling it next year. So they're getting ready for this. And also, one of the things to note is, let's say you got 25 quarters. The person on the title is the only person, or you hire someone with a pesticide applicator that's trained, they have to put it out. That's a lot of work. So that might hamper things, or it just opens it up for some gray areas where guys are gonna be, you know, having the hired man do it, and they can't unless they're a pesticide applicator.
Mark?
I was just gonna ask if there was any, I'm assuming the answer is no, we don't have mapping of the county of where there's infestations of gophers or areas, or crop insurance wouldn't have reports on that, then.
Not in Alberta, and they're looking for better data on that, but, I mean, if they map where it's sold now, we're gonna find out this year. And also, there's Derek can maybe help me on this one. There's gonna be a deadline, right, to June 15th, say you buy what you can, a case. They're gonna have to bring that strychnine back if they don't use it. So nobody wants to pay for something they don't use. And then that window in the fall, which we've never sold strychnine in that when things dry out, people don't do it. You wouldn't want to rebuy the same stuff you brought back in, right? So that will make people only take the right amount, we hope. But maybe Derek's been on all the meetings. We've been on so many online meetings with this, the training, and there's a lot of things that are up to interpretation that we haven't got solid answers for yet.
Yeah, the training part about it for the producers is gonna be lost. Like they're gonna have to mark down like the time, and they gotta check on it twice a day. That's all gotta be recorded, and we gotta look after all that. So like we'll know if anybody's got any extra, cause if they do have extra and they have to bring it back, they're not gonna get refunded for it. So they're gonna wanna take it and use it all. So I can't see a whole lot coming back, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
And the empties, I mean, we're not dealing with empties. It's gonna be dealt with by our transfer stations in the past. That's the way it's been. A little different, there's triple rinse this time. Like, it's not a good place for that, but that's where they go. We'll work something out with the contractor where they're removed very quickly or somewhere nobody has access to.
Thanks, Gary. Ken, you had something?
If I'm reading between the lines appropriately, Ryan, there's no funding that comes with this to support the administration of the product?
Yeah, thanks.
Is that correct?
Thanks, Ken. That is correct.
Yeah. So this is, to me, again, another example of where the Ag Service Board could and should be playing a bigger and better role in negotiating and ensuring that those types of things don't happen. I mean, this was seen as a political win to get the strychnine back in place, but no real thought or plans to the cost that goes associated with it. And we're right in the middle of starting negotiations in the next policy framework nationally, that all of these little details matter. And I feel like a county of our size and economic output should have a stronger voice in those roles. That's, to me, is exactly where these problems fall short. The same thing with Matt's programs. They're all dependent on that next policy framework, and everything's going to change, and it's going to impact how these guys have to do their jobs and whether they have the support to do it. So I recognize that's going to be a lot of work for you guys. You've done it before, but you know, the gopher side of things, the right time to kill them's kind of past. I think that should be considered in how you administer the program this year as well. But everything you've said to me is, yeah, do it as straightforward as possible, but I would be keeping those costs in mind too. Like that's tough for you guys.
Thanks, Ken. You were looking for a little bit of direction on the administration, and I'm not involved with it at that level, but what you've presented of having a limited number go out appears to make sense. You might be able to judge on how many people have taken the training, and that might be able to adjust your numbers a little bit. If you say, hey, there's actually only 12 farmers that took the training, well, then you might be able to look at that. But for the rest, I think you got a grip on it. It makes sense.
And to mitigate some of our time, we may just have, once we get that allocation, We get the producers that have taken the training, we get what they think they need. We just have one day. Like, we can't be there touch and go, and then guys are getting mad at us when we're not available, but there's a lot of other work to do too, so. We'll figure that out. Like I say, the government's changing the rules, or not the rules, just changing how we got to structure all the paperwork to go in and things like that. And what scares us a little bit is the audit. Like, they're going to come and check my paperwork, so it better be good. I mean, we don't want that risk as a county, so there's going to be no apologies for following the rules. It's just the way it's going to be. And then the audit for the farmers, like, they're going to audit farmers. So the federal government or the provincial government's going to come and see how many gopher holes you had and what you did. And if you had species at risk, that's another component to this. There's always been a checkoff when you buy strychnine that you don't have species at risk. The answer is always no, but are there? You know, we don't have, you know, it's in this area, the ones of concern are the burrowing owl and swift fox, and nobody wants to damage that habitat. So if I'm nervous about selling it, I would be even more nervous about putting it out there properly, because the rules are different this time, and the cost of the fines are incredible. 50 to 100,000.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary. I think that's it on strychnine then. So, perfect. We are 10 minutes to our first delegation. Let's have a break then, and we can continue with our presentations and Thank you, Ashley. Ken, you have a question?
Thanks for your presentation, Ashley. A lot of the expansion, I think, is happening in our county, and there seems to be more and more partnerships with potato growers and feedlots. Do you foresee any additional risk with that scenario with heavily manured fields as far as disease and management?
Yes, I would say yes. Part of the regenerative strategies, I would say, are those more organic soil amendments. So we're starting to see more and more manure put on potato fields. And there are diseases that are transferred through manure. So that is something that, yeah, we are looking at for sure. Not BRR, but.
Thanks, Ken. Anyone else? Questions on the presentation? Okay.
Great.
Well, looks good. Thank you. It's interesting to see the chart on the amount of growth, and Ryan sitting over there, you know, cringing at the amount of extra tons that are running across our roads. And
Yes.
yeah, it's a very real thing for us. So
More acres means more trucks for sure.
Yes.
See that.
yeah.
Could we get copies of that, your presentation?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right, and our next presenter is here. We'll move down in our agenda to G1 for our AAAF ASB tour invite. Gary, do you have anything to chat about on that?
Well, it's going to be held in Wheatland County. They are having, some issues with getting this out. The deadline to sign up is, it's right away here, 15th. So if you want to sign up, we beat this one up to death a little bit over the year here, since we knew it was coming. If you're interested, Candace can sign you up and get lodging. I'm not sure anybody here has gone to before. I've gone to a few. They're good to interact with the provincial ASB boards and things like that. That brings some value. So, I mean, we don't want to send 10 folks. It's just there's a limit, right? So, I don't think there's too many signed up yet, Candace, or 3. So that's good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gary. So if there's an interest, maybe reach out. We can chat about it, and else we can get you hooked up with that. Letters from the last month. Well, how do you want us to go through these, Gary?
I'll just, we'll go through them, spin through them real quick. Just a note on the tour. It's there used to be a big deal with kids. There was a kids tour. There was a spouses tour. This is just going to be a tour of delegates.
Okay.
They're attached there. We have the Bill 22 fact sheet. That's to do with animal welfare. We've talked about that one already. This one here from the MD of Greenview. They have concerns with traceability. Traceability has been an ongoing concern for many counties on the timelines of moving and what you got to report. So at the conference, you often hear, that's a reoccurring theme. And then the next is the federal cuts to Agri-Food Canada. Another reoccurring theme, if you're in that Lacombe area, or anywhere north, there's a lot of value. Like, imagine if there were cuts in Lethbridge, there would be a very large impact. These are little smaller stations that close, some in Saskatchewan and Alberta. I'm not sure of elsewhere in Canada, but there's another reoccurring theme. There's a lot of counties that saw value in this, and they don't want to go backwards, which it could happen. There's another letter there from Northern Sunrise regarding that closure in Lacombe as well. And then the last letter here is from John Barlow. John Barlow was the lead. He was MP from the Foothills County area, and he was a big lead on the strychnine coming back. He pushed and pushed, and they even when they denied earlier on in the year, they kept going, and it was just incredible that they changed their decision. They put in a lot of rules, but that's okay. It come back, and he's thanking all provincial ASB boards. Lethbridge County's been a leader on that as well for wanting strychnine and using it properly, and it's a tool that farmers have. There's other products out there that everyone has found they don't work as good, and they've been proven that they do. It's just a different process of how you have to apply repeated treatment. There's one that is very effective as strychnine, but you have to pre-treat with just plain oats before you put that out to train them to take it. So that's twice at least, right? So, and that is all of the correspondence.
Thanks, Gary. Any business arising out of it? I think we've expressed our concerns on the things that have concerns and appreciation on the rest, so thank you. Then we will move back to our other delegation with Dirk Muilwijk, Sunshine Custom Farming, Dragline Manure application, and his presentation on what he does and interaction with the county infrastructure, and some of that. So, Dirk, please come forward, and you are welcome to present. Okay, break. And you are ready. We are, all right, we'll call this meeting back to order. Thank you for your patience, and Dirk has a presentation for us.
So, good morning, counselors and everyone else. Thank you for having me today. My name is Dirk Muilwijk, and I'm the owner, together with our brother Ari Muilwijk, and our wives, of Sunshine Custom Farming. We've been operating since 2017, and we're proud to call Southern Alberta home. My goal today is simple. I want to give you a clear picture of what we do, how we use the county infrastructure and the facilities, and where we see opportunities to grow and work together even better in the future. So, Sunshine Custom Farming is a family-owned business. We make everything happen with 25 amazing team members. And our goal is to provide customers with a reliable custom farming service. Since 2017, we've grown into 4 main divisions: manure pumping, crop spraying, straw sales, and vac trucking. Each of these divisions relies on the county infrastructure in different ways, which we'll talk through in detail. So before we dive into each division, we'll just a quick overview of the scale of each operation. So the manure pumping, we pump approximately 250 million gallons of manure every year. That's injected into about 25,000 acres of farmland. We spray approximately 120,000 acres and purchase approximately 1.8 million gallons of water from the county each year for our spraying operations. We sell approximately 100,000 bales worth of straw every year, and with our vac truck we water approximately 1,400 miles of gravel road every year. These are significant numbers, and they all depend on reliable county infrastructure to make it happen efficiently and safely. Each one of these serves a different need in the agricultural community, but they all share one thing in common: they depend heavily on county roads, culverts, bridges, and water infrastructure. I'll walk you through each one in more detail, and we'll start with manure pumping. So for the Dragline, how that works is when the farmer calls us up, we go to their lagoon with our main pump, which we set up, and we put an agitator to agitate the manure up so that it's consistent. And then we lay out a 12-inch main line from the pump to the field, which can be anywhere from right beside the lagoon to 4 miles out. Or we can go up to 4 miles with our equipment. And so this line goes usually the least path resistance, which is through fields, but also means we have to cross roads, and which we use culverts for. From there, it then goes to an applicator tractor, which drags the manure or the hose through the field. I think I have some pictures of that. Yeah, so the bottom picture there, bottom left, shows the applicator tractor drags the hose around and injects it into the soil. The main idea behind that is the nutrients are covered right away. We're not off-gassing gases into the sky. The nutrients stays in the soil. That bottom right picture shows a booster pump. So every 1.8 miles we put an extra pump into place so that we can pump approximately 6,000 gallons a minute. And also by putting extra boosters in place, it also allows us to keep our pressure lower, because as we're going through culverts, we're crossing sensitive waterways, we want to keep our pressure lower. So whenever we come to a sensitive area, we'll put our booster right behind that sensitive area so our pressure's at the lowest going across these areas. just an example of the dragline advantage here. So I would say a typical dairy is approximately 5 million gallons of manure per year. For the dragline, it takes us approximately 14 hours of pumping time to do this, plus 4 hours of setup and cleanup. We use approximately 7,500 liters of fuel for that. And so our total duration in a job is approximately in and out 2 days. And really no road miles other than we have to get our equipment to the job site. Versus what used to be done mainly with tanker hauling, a job like that would take approximately 416 hours to do a job. And this is using a tractor with a 6,000 gallon tanker. And so, and then we would use, they would approximately use 20,000 liters of fuel, and they would travel 4,100 some miles of gravel road to spread this manure. How I come up with that number is, this example is 2 miles of pumping, and I would say our average pump is about 2 miles. You know, that's about the average. So of course we go as the crow flies with the hose. Whereas if you're using a tanker, very often you have to go around through the farmer's yard, onto a gravel road and around. So I'm saying a job like this would be usually about 5 miles with a tanker round trip travel time. So 4,100 miles, which is, an 833 trips. I had a little thing on that. If all of it would be done with trucks, that would be the same as driving back and forth to Edmonton this particular case is the same as driving back and forth to Edmonton 7 times. This is one job. If everything were to be tanked, it would work out to 350 trips back and forth to Edmonton, or just over 200,000 miles of county travel. The other thing, so just to talk about some of the equipment on our pumps. So, I mean, I think our biggest concern that we face going across roads or under roads, going across waterways is the potential of having a blowout with our hose. Our hose that we use is 200 PSI rated, 600 burst, so our max pressure is 160 PSI that we run through it. We mitigate that then by making sure we have booster pumps in sensitive areas to make sure our pressure is low in the sensitive areas, but also all our equipment now is set up with automated controls that have preset parameters. So if a pressure drop is below, like pressure drops a certain percentage, everything is shut off within 15 seconds, just to ensure that we're not having a major spill somewhere. So the infrastructure that we use in the challenges, so what we need is good culverts to cross roads, access through fields, ditches, and bridges, and wide roads with firm shoulders and big approaches as equipment is large and heavy to get to these fields. If we have that, that allows us to be the most efficient. The challenges we face as culverts are not always available at crossings. Every now and then we run into plugged or caving in culverts. So for example, that picture there, that's pretty common what we see. So what we end up doing is we take a shovel and we dig out the culvert. Sometimes it's plugged with dirt, we can't get in there, so then what we do is we push a chain through. So how we do that is we have 1.5 inch pipes that we just put together, hook a rope to it, push it through the culvert, pull a chain back, and then we put a car tire on it, and then we drag that through to clean out the culvert. That's how we deal with that. And the other issue is sometimes vehicles tend to drive over the edges of the culvert, so then they're bent down. So then we have to take a grinder or a really big bar and force the culverts up again so that we can get our hose through. And then we have to sand the edges off so it's not sharp, so it doesn't cut our hoses. And then other things that we run into is standing crop, which prevents us from going through fields, which now we have to talk to the county about allowing us to run hose through ditches. There's waterway crossing permits we need sometimes. And of course, ditch roading has safety hazards with people maybe hitting the ditch, graders, yeah, there's definitely concerns using that, but we have to be very careful, make sure we have the right people involved in that. The next division is crop spraying. We work with farmers and agronomists to come up with a crop or a spray plan, whether that be herbicides, fungicides, pesticides. We have 3 crews. Each crew consists of a sprayer operator and chemical, a guy that mixes the chemical in the sprayer trailer, and a water hauler. We only use potable water for our equipment, and the reason for this is 2 main reasons. One is the equipment is very sensitive to dirty water. Like, this is the latest technology, Exactify technology, and it's very high pulsating nozzles that ensure that the droplet size is right, so the chemical applied is going to work properly. So that's number one. And number 2, the second reason is we want to make sure that the chemical, the water has to be the right pH to work with the chemical. So we test this water 3 times a year, and then depending on that, we'll adjust our AMS that we apply with the water for spraying. So this way the water is always consistent and it works right the first time. A few pictures here. It shows here how we have our tanker bringing water to our mixing trailer. We have our person on the trailer mixing the chemical, all suited up. And then we have a person running the sprayer. And so just to be the most efficient, that way the person can already mix the chemical. If the weather's looking good and we know we can keep going, a person on the trailer mix the chemical, the sprayer pulls up, loads up, and goes again right away. As you can tell, the Exactify technology there on the bottom left corner, showing a bit of the pattern we use. And then once again, the equipment's fairly heavy and big and wide. We travel a lot of gravel roads because of where the fields are. So when we have soft shoulders, it's a fairly tippy situation sometimes. Yeah, just a quick recap. Spray 120,000 acres approximately. We purchase 1.8 million gallons of water, 225 loads. The crop spraying infrastructure, so wide roads with stable shoulders for parking, that's a big one, because very often we cannot go into the fields with our equipment with our sprayer trailers or our tankers. So we end up parking on the side of the gravel road far enough on the edge that people can still pass us safely. And so that's sometimes a problem, but overall it's not bad. The fill stations, they're amazing. We use those all the time. And they're very nicely set up. They're easy access. That's very nice. The one challenge we face, I think, the biggest one is the wait times for filling our tankers. It takes approximately 75 minutes to fill a tanker, which is about 280 hours of waiting time at a fill station per year. Because of the waiting time, we actually have to have 2 trucks and 2 tankers, because if we could just go in there, fill, and leave again, we could make it work that nobody's waiting for water. But because we're waiting so long, we actually have to have 2 units going at all times, so that there's one always filling and one is delivering water. A high flow pump option at a fill station would be very nice if that would ever.
It's like getting gas at Costco, eh?
Yeah, well, it's a thought we have. We can discuss that more later, but.
You had 2, like, the station out by Dragline, there's 2 sides, so the big trucks go down one side and the smaller go the other. Would that be altitude for you guys?
I guess Monarch is our main location where we fill. Where did you say this was?
It's on 43rd Street here.
Okay, yeah, Monarch is our main location. All our land is right around the Monarch area that we spray. What we usually do, like people come up behind us, so what we'll do is we actually park way to the one side so people can pull between the semi-truck and the pump house so that we can quick pull the hose out, fill up people so that they're not waiting for us. But it all takes a little bit of time, but you also don't want to, make the people cranky because they're waiting. Third division, straw sales, that's where everything actually all started in 2017. We meet with the farmers, we buy the straw and the swath, we meet with the feedlots, we sell the straw, we try to do that. It's just a bit of a tricky deal, but it works. We bale the straw, stack it in the corners, and then we load it onto semis delivered to feedlots, mainly in the Vulcan and the Lethbridge County. And there where we unload it again and stack it wherever the feedlot would like us to. Approximately 100,000 bales get moved every year by us. This equates to 1,900 semi-loads of straw going down the highway. We purchase the straw anywhere between the U.S. border and Red Deer, and like I said, most of it comes back to the Lethbridge Vulcan County. A few pictures here of us baling. Everything gets moved by semi. We don't drive the balers get moved down a road, but all the loaders and stuff for the most part get hauled by semis just because the forks are 14 feet wide. It's just dangerous to go down the roads like that. For the straw side, our biggest ask is hard roads. Repeated traffic on these roads are, I think our biggest problem that we're facing is complaints actually from the, because we're hauling in the fall, so you have the silage trucks going, you have the manure trucks going, plus you get us on top of it. Roads are washboards, lots of dust, lots of complaints. So what actually happens is we end up having to take roads around, take quite a long way around sometimes to keep everybody happy, which we understand, but it is definitely an extra cost to the feedlots. Big approaches so that we can enter and exit safely, so that we're not coming completely onto oncoming traffic to get onto the road. And a proper road crown. Some roads, actually, in the Lethbridge County is pretty good. There's some counties where the roads are terribly crowned. We come onto the roads and it's very, very scary, yeah. Backtracking, we started off originally hauling manure with this truck and emptying out pits, but I would say the last 2 years have just dramatically shifted to hauling water on roads. We're almost full-time busy with that. Feedlot operators will call us and they say, hey, we have complaints of our neighbors getting dusted out. We can't see the intersections properly. Can you come water our roads? So we've been doing a lot of that in the last 2 years. Just a few pictures of the different things. Our biggest challenge, I would say, is finding water sources. We make it the farmer calls us, we make it their responsibility to find us a water source, but sometimes we end up having to travel a long ways to get to that water source. There are canals and other waterways we could potentially use, but we have never looked into getting permission as of yet and have not used these options. We recognize we are working on county property, and we want to make sure we respect that. And so at this time, I also want to say we are more than willing to work with the county to ensure that we do not do damage to the roads through our operations. Feedback is good. I'm not sure how you guys feel about what we do, but we're definitely, if you want us to do it a different way or do something different, we're open to suggestions or recommendations, yeah. What's working well? I gotta say, Graham White, who we usually deal with, has been excellent in working with us. We've had issues with culverts where we couldn't get through them, where we had to use ditches, and whenever we called them, they always needed a day or two of notice to let the emergency services know, and that was okay, but they shut down roads for us. They let us pick up signs, warning signs. That's been really good. I have zero complaints about that. We have great fill stations in this county, and overall, very nice roads to work with. So I want to say thank you to the county for that. And I hope that we can keep working well together in the future by having good communication. Our recommendations, just coming from a custom operator, continue the program of replacing bad culverts that impede the Dragline operation and fuel access. It just allows us to be more efficient if they are changed, and adding culverts at key crossings would make manure pumping significantly more efficient. And that program is there. I know that you guys have something, and I can't remember the name of that person, but it's there, and I think we need to make more use of it. Consider installing a high flow pump at one or more fill stations to reduce wait times for the larger water trailers. Explore options for vac trucks to access other waterways for dustway suppression work. And let's keep communicating good, that we're not all thinking that we're doing the right thing, and in the meantime, we're rubbing people the wrong way. With that, I want to say thank you for listening, and I'm open to questions.
Well, thank you, Dirk. That is a whole lot to take in 15 minutes. Lots of information, lots of very impressive stuff that's going on. Only question I have coming out of it, you mentioned a 12-inch dragline hose. That sounds fairly large from what I remember. What's the minimum culvert size or the recommended size that works for that?
Our couplers are 14 inches. I mean, I would say the smallest for a 24-inch.
Oh, yeah.
Anything smaller than that, it just gets a little tight. Anything caves in, now we can't fit it through anymore. We definitely have some issues with that. I mean, Highway 25, just past Butte, there's a huge culvert that's caved in under Highway 25. Things like that, it's pretty difficult to, I mean, it's hard to fix too, but what we've noticed a couple of times as well is there's culverts that are caved in. They're 36-inch culverts at 24, and the county just shoves a 12-inch through it. It fixes the problem for the water, but we can't use it for the dragline. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Feedback, questions? Dan?
Yeah, a few years ago, we listened to a presentation, Gary, I don't know if you can remember the specifics on it, but where there was an application to create culverts for the custom operators. Is that program not in
That
service?
program is still available. We haven't had very many applications. I think we're proceeding with one this year. One or two. Yeah, and then I know you've looked at that program for those. One thing to remember about culverts, they're designed for water flow for rain. I mean, you can't just change a culvert size because then you're affecting downstream, and you're gonna flood somebody, or there's bigger impacts, so there's lots of things that have to be looked at. They're always in the low spot, right? That's where the culverts go, where these ones for drag lines that we're looking at, we're hoping to put, it's not gonna affect drainage on a hill. It can go in other places, right? So, yeah, those applications are still out there. There's been little demand until this year. So, once maybe we get a couple in, and it's a cost share thing, maybe there'll be more producers. But yeah, it's good to promote that because, that's why we created the program.
Thanks, Gary. And Dan? Anything else? Well, thank you very much for taking the time to make us a presentation and present it. And yeah, I really appreciate the positive relationship, and hopefully, yeah, can continue to work together and work to deliver the services. So,
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
yeah, see you.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, yeah. Dirk has shown interest in that program. He's one of the few, yeah. And in the Monarch area as well, so. Yeah.
All right, then we will move back to our agenda. Was there anything coming out of G3, recurring letter topics of concern, or I'm not sure?
No, I
what
think
that
I
was
just
for.
touched them as we flowed
Okay.
through them, so we're good there.
Okay, H, ASB Conference 2029. What do we have on that?
Well, this is just a little bit of an update. So the last time, that will be the next time the South Region hosts the ASB Conference. The last time it was hosted in Lethbridge at the new Agribition Center there.
You know what it's called anymore, do
I don't. What is it, do you know? Excite, okay, thank you. Yeah. So, plans are gonna be starting shortly for us to host as a South Region. The previous time before Lethbridge, it was hosted in Calgary. With no flights coming into Lethbridge, I would think the consideration for Lethbridge it's not gonna go very far. Everybody flies in from the north. We fly to Grand Prairie when we go. So that's gonna really hamper. I've always promoted for Lethbridge for it to happen here. Last time it happened, the county put up $25,000 and hosted a first night sort of thing. I just can't see it, the discussion, the preliminary discussion we've had with all the ag fieldmen, I just can't see it without flights coming to Lethbridge. And those, that could change in 2 years. There's flights coming into Lethbridge or 2.5 years, but the planning starts, you gotta count on it, so. And the feedback we would get would be very negative if there was no flights. Me and Derek filled out a survey. They're asking for, as well, regionalization, and what we thought of 3 years in Edmonton. Our view on that was that it's nice to spread it around, and we don't mind going to Grand Prairie, I don't think, if that's the way it is. I mean, it means a lot to Lethbridge and Grand Prairie. That's where the agriculture is happening, not necessarily in downtown Calgary where we had it before. However, when we had it in Calgary, it was well received because it was flights to Calgary. It was easy for everybody to get there. And that's the idea of regionalization. You can work out a better deal and you all go to Edmonton, because Edmonton, if you look at a map, is pretty central to everywhere in the province. So I just wanted to give an update on that.
Thank you. Sounds good. Then looks like we are going to move to our closed session item. Could I get a motion I guess first it's closed session 1, weed control, ATIA, section 26, disclosure harmful to intergovernmental relations. Could I get a motion for closed session? Mark has moved that we enter a closed session. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming to the meeting today and the discussion and everything that comes out of this. With that, that is the end. So we have a motion to adjourn. Mark moves that we adjourn our meeting.